Okay, welcome guys. Today we are going to make a carrot cake. In short, we are going to make a vegetable cake. But it is not vegan. So as you can see on my table, I have my carrots and I've peeled them. I have cleaned them and now I am grating them. Now, first I'm starting with preparation of my ingredients. I'm just needing like 2 cups of grated fresh carrots, and in my yellow bowl I'm going to start now mixing in my wet ingredients. First, you can see I have a measuring cup. Very important. I'm going to measure my oil, and in this case I am using vegetable oil, whatever vegetable oil that you have in your house, right? And I need about can I say maybe a cup? Yeah, I'm not sure, but I write the measurements of my ingredients down. Okay, now I'm putting in my sugar. I've started with castor sugar, and for castor sugar I'm going with half a cup, and I have my brown sugar, or rather the normal sugar that we use. I'm going to put a cup. So the first one was a cup of brown sugar. This one is a cup of half a cup of castor sugar. The next thing, I'm trying to mix in the wet ingredients. I didn't know that sugar was a part of wet ingredients. Now I know, and you know too. And I'm going to put in my vanilla, and I'm using a teaspoon of vanilla essence, not extract. And you have extract, better for you, but for me I have vanilla essence. And from there on I take my eggs, 3 whole large eggs, the yolk and the white one. We crack in the first one. Please ensure that you crack your eggs in a separate bowl other than the one that you're baking in, if at all you're not sure of the status of your eggs. How fresh are they? Mine, I'm so sure, because I pick them from my farm whenever and wherever I want. I've cracked in my 3 eggs. These are organic eggs, and then I mix in don't mind my wooden stick. I don't have a whisker. All my whiskers have been used as toys by my children. I'm sure every mother understands this, but here I'm going to use a wooden spoon. I bring in my bowl to put in my dry ingredients. First, I begin with the flour. I only need 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Make sure it's all-purpose for this recipe, and if yours is the baking flour, then my ingredients might change for your recipe because of the raising agents in your flour. After I've put in my 2 cups of all-purpose flour, I'm going to put in my baking powder. For baking powder, I need 2 teaspoons of baking powder, and then the next thing from there, I put in half teaspoon of baking soda, and then now I come in with my spices. I put in cinnamon, as you can see, a teaspoon of cinnamon. There is my baking soda, half a teaspoon. Make sure that you balance the baking soda and the baking powder. Too much baking soda will make your cake boil in the tin. and spill out. So just make sure it's just perfectly enough, always lesser than the baking powder. And then I put in my ginger. I'm using my eyes to measure here, but I'm sure was about a teaspoon, a whole teaspoon of ginger powder, grounded ginger, yes, that one. And then I put my ground nutmeg. Nutmeg is perfect for desserts. I put it also a teaspoon of nutmeg. And the next thing, sorry guys, it's raining. I put in salt, a pinch of salt. Salt to taste. So that one you can always go with whatever measurement that you want. And now here I mix and mix and mix and mix. Remember, there are spices here. There's baking powder, there's baking soda. You have to mix in your dry ingredients properly. Now the next thing, I put in my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients. However, I prefer you start putting in little by little flour as you mix as you go. But for me, I did mix everything together and I mixed. There's no problem with that, but it's going to be easier for you if you start mixing little flour at a time until you have the whole thing incorporated. And then I put in my toasted walnuts. I've toasted them on the pan for a few minutes just so that they can release their oils and they become a bit crunchy. And then I break them to whatever chunks that you want in your cake. You can dice them up, you can break them like I'm doing, you can chop them up, whatever you want. It's your recipe. You can twist it to the way you want. So mine's I've toasted and broken as you've seen. And now I put in my carrots, grated carrots, like that, and I mix in or fold in slowly and make sure that every part of my butter, my cake batter, has carrots and has walnuts. Now this mixture is ready for baking. Earlier on, before I started this recipe, I start with greasing my tin. In this case, I'm using a loaf tin because I want a carrot loaf cake. Yeah, if it makes sense. But this recipe can also make two layers of carrot cake. So you can make one layer in a separate tin, baking tin, another layer in a separate baking tin. Hence you end up with a two-tier cake, and in between you can put in your butter, your cream cheese, a frosting butter. But for me, I'm just using the whole thing as a loaf. And you can see I've put in my butter, and there's some little butter remaining on my yellow tin, or rather my yellow mixing bowl. And that one I'm going to bake cupcakes. I set my oven to 180 for about 45 minutes, and I keep checking, and you can see it's baked and nicely baked. Well done. Now is the time to make the frosting. I put in butter. I put about a third of a cup of butter, and it's room temperature because for easier mixing. for easier mixing and for a better smooth and silky frosting, not lumpy. And now I'm going in with my cream cheese. This tin is 250 grams, if I'm not wrong, and I just need like 150 grams of the same, not of the same, of cream cheese. Sorry, of cream cheese. Carrot cake is not complete without cream cheese. Makes it perfect. It makes it taste the way it tastes, good and great. Come in with my whisker, my electric whisker. What should I call it? A whisker? What is this thing? Whatever, but I'm sure you're getting. And now I'm mixing in my butter and my cream cheese so that they can be perfect. They can be in equal balance. They can be balanced. Equal balance is wrong. They can be balanced. Yeah. And now I come in with my icing sugar. Measuring a whole cup of icing sugar, one at a time. Man, I am the cameraman, I am the cook, I am the editor, I am everything. It's a one-man show. I'm mixing my cup of icing sugar. Other people call it powder sugar. And I mix it very well. Not very fast. Probably at number 1 or 2. If you do it very fast, you might end up losing the entire sugar on your counter or on your face. You get a whole mess on your working table. So little at a time. And I come in with another whole cup of icing sugar. But sometimes I always say it's always good to twist out the recipe to your liking. Sometimes some people might find at this point it's good for you. Whatever works for you, as long as it works for you and it makes your people happy, do it. You don't have to follow someone else's recipe. Do it. Now this time I think I can take my whisker to number 3. For a perfect mixture. And I mix and I mix and I mix and I mix. Man, I feel like tasting. But we have to put in vanilla first. Easy, fresh cake stroke desserts. Come gifts. Yeah, and very fast to come in with my vanilla, a whole whooping tablespoon of vanilla. This one makes it easier for your sugar, the icing sugar, to get absorbed, or rather dissolve, and still not be as lumpy. So it's, you make it have a smooth texture, especially because it's vanilla essence. But if it was vanilla extract, sorry, I'm saying, because if it was vanilla extract, you can do with lemon, maybe a tablespoon of lemon, because lemon is watery, and vanilla extract is a bit, it's a paste, it's a gel, it's gel like, but vanilla essence is water like. So you can do more lemon water, maybe a whole teaspoon and a half. Yeah, like that. You balance it out, but don't over exaggerate things. Just put in a little at a time, because what goes in cannot be removed, but what is not in, you can always measure it, you can always know what you're going to do with it. Yeah, I have my piping bag now, just to avoid a messy affair of decorating the cake. I must say, I'm not a perfect decorator, I'm a home cook, not trained, but I do it how I feel is best for me. So I am having a piping bag. I put in my frosting, my cream cheese frosting, and I need to cut the tip, and I get my turning table or turntable for easier and better frosting. Here comes my loaf. Here comes my loaf. Trim the tip, cut the tip, so that we can do the piping. Squeeze, squeeze. The piping bag makes it easier. This is not going to be as messy. So you do it the way you want. Start somewhere. Tell me, how do you think of my piping skills? 1 out of 10. I give myself a 1, but made with a lot of love. 100 times 100. Soul food, family food. I take my offset knife and I try to balance out that frosting. I didn't trim my cake just because it's home. I'm not selling the cake, it's home. Yeah, so I do it the way I want to. I'm not trimming my cake, but if it was for sale, then I would trim it because of the aesthetics. But even this one has the aesthetics, just the way it is. Just depends with your point of appreciation. And my toasted crushed walnuts, roasted or toasted. Now I put them on for decoration or garnishing. And by the way, you can also bake this cake with raisins inside. Where I put the walnuts, you can also put in raisins together with the walnuts, but mine is perfect the way it is. Test out yours the way you want to, but this one is also good. Yeah, delicious. Decorate, garnish, and garnish. Voila. Perfect. Perfect. Bye guys. See you another day, another time. Go bake.